Welcome to That One Time in Business with me, your host, Casey Renee, a creative director and brand strategist who has 1,000,001 stories and lessons to share. Now remember, these are teachable moments with a twist and a laugh. So let's get started. Okay, so boom, I already said season 2, we're going to have guests. It's Steve. You mean go you Steve or Steve Van?
Steve Mo, man. Call me what the people know. Steve Mo.
Okay, Steve Mo. All right, so we're just going to jump right into it because, baby, we got stories to tell.
We do.
Let's go. Let's get
plenty
it.
of stories to tell. Listen, if we're talking entrepreneurship, if we're talking a journey, if we're talking about no days off, this story is going to really give it to you in a multitude of ways. And in as best way as I can, I want to really say that this was one of my earlier clients. And to be transparent, the Morrison Group started in 2018, right?
Okay.
I sat on it for like a year. I was finishing grad school. So in 2019, I took my first client. And then within my first 3 clients, this particular company didn't exist anywhere on the internet, really. They were a very peculiar company where they were a little older. They had no internal social media person. And so they decided to tap into the Morrison Group's ability to grow social platforms at an organic and high rate. But their expectation was to see overnight success in their online sales simply because they were now tweeting and posting videos and all these different things that if you don't know anything about the internet, you would have an idea that you have a misconception, as they did, that the moment you put something out there, it's going to catch fire and people are going to react and do what you ask them to do, react on that call to action. Well,
we're actuality, because we're genies.
Yeah, right. But in all honesty, you have to build up momentum and build a community around who you are first before you can even expect people to take action. And I guess the biggest learning lesson in this particular story and what I'll uncover is I should have done a better job of coaching my client along the way, because while I thought I did enough in the overall presentation to secure the contract, clearly there was a disconnect, because when I would go and do work, and a lot of times some of it was remote, they'll see it and then they'll expect results immediately after. And I think if I would have spent more time on the front end, really explaining how the internet works to someone that struggled to put together a Facebook post, and I would have been in a better place, and probably we would have ended on a better note.
We love a good self-awareness around here.
Hey, look, I always try to look at it like, the glass half full, right? Both sides of the coin. Like, they were a very interesting group to work with, and a lot of times a pain in my ass. But at the same time, it was like, did I really give them all of me once I would really get annoyed? Because I could have, yes, there are some mechanisms and things I could have used to allow their, posts to reach a certain demo at a higher rate versus being stuck in my wannabe organic ways.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, if knowing that they started to expect results within like a week's time of putting up a post, which is not realistic, I just should have managed that expectation a little better.
Yeah, I think that even it's good that we have self-awareness, but I definitely have noticed that we love the Bible, but that, water into wine, people just feel like you can do anything. And I'm like, we're not God.
No, listen. So here's the thing though. I was able to bring them a community. So I grew this community very organically on Instagram. It worked. This is like month number 3. And so the contract was a 6-month contract, right? And at the end of 6 months, we have the option to review the first 6, see if we're going to extend, in all agreements there. Or I gave them a third option of, if you want, if you don't want to commit to a year, you could pay as you go until you felt like the services are needed. Because I understood how lean his business was. So basically, just think of, if you're in a particular industry, in this case, let's say motorsports, right? And you specialize in a particular part that is very essential to wins and losses across motorsports. This could
Uh-huh.
be engines, wheels, whatever, right? When you don't have a community around you and nobody knows you exist, and this is a very competitive market, then you're not you're not going to like make any sales when it comes to your internet. You have
Yeah.
no internet market. You have not even internet marketing. You have no marketing period. You're not doing no radio ads, no print ads. People only know you if you're either one winning, whatever,
Yep.
and you're with a winning team, regardless of what industry or what side you're on. That's why racing has sponsors and stuff like that. But then they're also not going to know you and discover you if you have no presence outside of your brick and mortar. And they didn't.
Yeah.
And so we grew this community from 200, sub 200, to about 12,000 in like 4 months.
That's great.
And no, it's amazing. No, that's amazing. Listen. Now I attached them to the most. I attached this business to one of the most iconic people in racing, in this particular genre of racing, and so it was easy for them to see how an influencer and a social media strategy and a content calendar can really help their online presence, which in turn can create this community where people are constantly discussing your products and constantly looking at your videos and constantly commenting on your content.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that, once you built that up and it becomes an organic spinning door of new ads and new ads, once you get there, that's when you go and you put out the ads in front of them and expect 10% of that community to actually buy something. So we
Yeah.
got to the very end, and then there was a lot of impatience there. And I think they really felt like they were not getting the value, for what they were paying me. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not cheap, but
And shouldn't be.
I'm not cheap. I mean, I ain't cheap. You know what I mean? So,
You want Emmy award winning,
you
you
know what I
know.
mean? You know what I mean? Like this come with a bag. So, but honestly speaking, the work really did reflect the number in the across the market. Like if you get an in-house social media managers, somebody that's basically creating your entire deal from start to finish, you're gonna pay month over month. And so they didn't see the results because I didn't, one, the results were we were just getting there. And then two, it was not just getting there, but now we had to strategically come up with a marketing plan that's going to work to these
Yeah.
people that we've gathered here. So now I got to learn who's in your community. That was very, very pretty much, a couple weeks. You figured it out. The numbers don't lie. And I felt
To get the conversion rates.
yeah, exactly. Your conversion rates, and I really feel like we were right on the cusp of getting to the point where now we're starting to influence your bottom line. And then right before that, he was just like, you know what? Let's just stop. And I was like, hey, you know what? We're at the end. We got another week, and then we're at the 6 month mark. I'm good, bro. There's no love lost. Like I would never publicly.
You may have finished pay the balance and stuff though, right?
I mean, yeah, yes. Took a little minute to get that last payment. Nah, it was like pulling teeth out of a whale. I ain't gonna lie. And that's when I was like, yo, dog, so you want me to come pick it up today, tomorrow?
I
Like,
tell you, you can send unpaid balances to small businesses to collections.
my lawyer told me that. And I didn't know that then, but he was like, yeah, you can send that to small claims court or some shit. I was like, oh, okay. Well, let me see how long it takes. It took him about 2 weeks. 2 weeks after the 6 month mark to pay the last.
So let me ask you something. Were there any like when you started? Were there like really big red flags with him? Because I know sometimes I'll go into business and I'll be like everything just it looked good on paper. The conversations, the meetings, the consultations, like everything just be so good. But like, and then next thing you know, it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation. Were there any like red flags when you first started, or was it great?
But yeah, there were some red flags early on. There were a couple. The biggest one, when I went into this negotiation and presentation, on my end, it's hey, here is this plan, right? I did a very comprehensive plan. I broke down what the first month will look like, what the first 90 days will look like, right? And I realized I was talking way above their heads. And that was the first red flag. I was like,
Okay.
oh, this might be a little bit too much for them. And they're just like deer in the headlights, shaking their head. didn't really ask any questions about how I was going to do it. They were just like, hey, we trust you guys. We trust you specifically so much. Whatever the rates are. Now, I broke the rates down on the graph. I'm talking about I went in there with a monitor. I put it up big for them to really understand what they're paying for and how this is going to look. And it really got into, okay, the first 30 days, we're going to come up with a messaging strategy and create your assets, right? I really showed them everything. And when I started, I think, breaking down the terminology, and because they really know what they know, but outside of what they know, they didn't know shit. It was just like,
Yeah, I get overwhelmed. I be like, this is you speaking Spanish. Like, but that's really why it's important that you have to like work alongside people that you trust or like you've been really following and have like good testimonials or whatever. Because if I don't know anything about anything, like I'm in the midst of doing my retirement. I'm finishing up. And when I tell you, I see those forms, and every time I respond to them forms, I feel bad. I be like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what this means. Is this right? And she's like, yeah, let's just hop on a call, like, blah, blah, blah. And I need that because I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I'm just like you said, I'm a deer in headlights.
I know,
So,
right? And it's and so that was the first red flag that I put to the back of my head that I should have paid more attention to early on. But that let me knew right there that no matter what, I had to really dumb things down. And even when I said it, I need to make sure that it hit home, because if not, once they feel like this whiz kid of a black man is, telling them different strategies, and then as soon as it disconnects with the results that they think they want to see, um, there's not going to be much explaining I could do if I didn't catch them in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, they're already going to
yeah.
have their premeditated, thoughts because of whatever reason, right? But all I can say is these older guys were not they were not privy to what the internet could really do until we were in the midst of it. And then even then, at this point, I've created an entire graphics package, and entire different slogan and I guess one-liners, things that match the brand.
I was doing work.
Oh no, I was doing work now. Let me tell you, this was
Where?
people think you just wake up and just fire off posts. Like, nah, bro. Like, we had a content calendar. I had Facebook automation posts going on. I had
Damn.
various call to actions. Started making original graphics for like giveaways. Like, I was doing the entire marketing job. This is not a
Yeah.
game now. This is real work. And so at this point, probably about month 4 or 5, no, I would say 3 months in, everything's done.
Uh-huh.
Exactly what I said I was going to do at the end of the 90 days is done. And then it was like they still weren't really seeing the results that they wanted. And I understand, because this market that you're marketing to, like I said, it's a competitive space. And so if your people aren't excelling in certain areas like they should, then people are reluctant to
Yep.
purchase these things, right? So it doesn't matter what your marketing is. It's like they have to see results. Like, you see the result, you hear the marketing, then you go get the product, right? So at this point, there was little movement, just not enough, or not what they wanted to see in this particular niche market. And so it was then the second red flag appeared. And then when it was time to cut the check, it was, I'm either not available or yeah, come by and get it at this
I gotta
date.
start this auto pay, man.
Right. But see, the way this business worked is they had an ability to pay me in that manner. And me being young and being green,
Yeah.
trying to close the deal and not wanting to show any type of I guess pushback, right? This is early
Any
again.
reluctance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is very early in my entrepreneurship space. Although at this point I was wrapping up at 10 years at ESPN, but it was a transition, right? I want to do right by one of my first clients, and I wanted to be successful. And then, a lot of that is also fear too, right? There's a little bit of fear there. And so, excuse me, when we finally got to the point where we were negotiating how the money would be distributed, I should have spoke up in that moment, but I
Yeah.
didn't. And so I was getting these traditional checks that I got to go to a particular, place and cash them, and they do the little password shit, and all right, cool. But honestly speaking, I got all of my checks that I was due. It became a hindrance and made it almost
No,
made me feel
I don't
like,
even take. I don't even take checks no more.
real talk. You should now again. This is like 3 years ago now, but now
Yeah, I was like, I don't do checks,
I
man.
feel you. I feel you. I know better now. Listen, now it's all
Because
about.
when you know better, you do better.
Oh, absolutely. I've never do that. I've never again, dog. At this point, I'm taking like strong deposits early. You know what I mean? Like depending on the scope of the project. And yeah, that was my first and only check client. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I have these. I have like checkpoints. So I'll do 50% upfront, and then in 2 weeks, then 25%. And then if you're corporate, in another 2 weeks, it's the last
Mhm.
25. But if you're a small business, then when we're done, it's the last 25.
I like
So yeah, maybe I want my 75% by the first 2 weeks because
you should.
eggs are expensive. I got things to pay for.
Very, very. And even in this part though, and that's a good idea, the way you really broke that down, especially getting the 75% up front. Now I'm a 50-50 guy. It's just easier, right? Well, it depends on again the scope of the work. Now,
Yeah.
sometime now I've been successful at
Uh-huh.
negotiating the entire month's fee because the relationship is so strong, especially with a reoccurring client. So at that point, it's just what we wiring this money to, and it's
Yeah.
done. Like I like that. I like that too. Um, been on a roll with those, but to bring it back, I learned a valuable lesson from that entire experience. And it's one, no cash, no checks, transactions anymore.
No cash, no ass.
No, no, nah, because the way my accountant and my finances are set up, my accountant said I need to see a paper trail, my boy. Um so we're not doing any more handle with fists
Yeah.
or any client friendly contracts. I mean, look, get what you asked for. That's the biggest thing. I'm no longer going to negotiations feeling nervous about not getting the deal. No, this is my standard. This is my price.
Yeah.
This is what I expect. And like it's not personal, it's business, bro. Like I just, you know,
And then
that's
it's so funny, especially because when you do have those moments where yes, we are green and we're still learning, it just sucks. It just bothers me because everybody has to start from somewhere. Like
right.
scratch, everybody has always start from scratch. It doesn't matter what you're doing. But for some reason, when you get into these situations and you need your money, I don't understand how like businesses try to get over on you like you were never me, and
Right.
it's something that always bothers me where it's like, and I believe in business karma where it's like, okay, color purple until you do right by me, like
It's all those.
every yeah, it's like you gonna get it too. But I just as an entrepreneur and a small business owner, I just could never understand. Like you started from scratch too. You wouldn't want nobody to treat you like this. So why are you playing with payments?
Right.
And it's very disheartening at the same time, and it if you don't have the right business mindset or temperament, it could really make you be like, I don't want to do this shit. Like
No, real talk.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I had those moments. Like early in that same time frame, even coming off of that client, being reluctant to go get another one in the similar vein. And
Mhm.
then I changed my entire approach. I took about 4 months before I took any other clients. Now, mind you, this entrepreneurship journey is still coinciding with my 9 to 5. The good thing is that my 9 to 5 allowed me to sustain and not feel the true entrepreneurship pressure early on. So
Uh-huh.
I had an unfair advantage where the entrepreneurship was something I was passionate about and a great revenue stream, but it wasn't my only one. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to have a job and a working, spouse, right? So uh it was pressure because a lot of it self-inflicted pressure, and my expectations and standards are high. So I wanted to do well, right? But it wasn't my livelihood. So it allowed me to step away for 4 months,
Yeah.
really look at it like from 1,000 foot view and then very much so into the details. So it was like I was able to do that and reflect because I had that safety net of having other revenue. But honestly speaking, I think I took a entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial, you know, cheat route, right? Because
Yeah.
I wasn't all the way in on it. But I will say it still taught me valuable lessons. Like in the entire approach within that 4 months, was very intentional in making sure that the next time I got a client, which my very next client was the biggest revenue I've ever gotten from a client
Uh-huh.
month over month. The next time I would get one, I would approach it differently so that I could be one, very effective, and then two, um, less pressure and in a gray area from the client because we are both on the same page. Like we're very much so locked in with what's about to happen and what are the expectations. And then we started having more reoccurring meetings. So the second client, I treated very much so like my projects that I'm getting paid
Yeah.
because it was like I can't be lesser because it's my business. I had to treat this just like I'm doing it if there's a big company behind it or a big brand or a lot of a certain type of expectation. And if I treat it with this type of energy, my results are going to show up, right? My clients are going to be more satisfied along the way. And again, I'm not cutting no corners. So another valuable lesson that came out of one of my first clients, one of my first three clients, is that you got to approach everything like it's your biggest project. You know, you
Yes,
can't
that's very true.
you can't um, you can't cruise control. Nothing. Even if you're green, like you got to go on that shit hungry. And
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, that I think that that's entrepreneurship and business and everything just as a whole because it's a dog eat dog world. So if they feel like if they smell fear, like they're gonna be like, "Can
eat
you
your life.
handle this?" And it could be something really small that you like could do with your eyes closed. But if you even go in with like the wrong checks and balances and they're not together, they'll be like, "Nah, you can't handle this." And to your point when you had said that you were lucky that you had your 9 to 5 and things like that. I know. So the podcast listeners are like a split vote. Some are in 9 to 5s, have side hustles, or some are fully immersed. But it's really a testament that how you could tell like you really do have the entrepreneurial spirit because a lot of people once that like hiccup had came, they'd be like, yeah, this shit was fun, but I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm good. I don't need this. Like I don't need this. And I know that it especially when you're fully immersed in like, I'm 100%. At this point, I tell people I'm not even I'm unemployable at this point.
Yeah,
I just I can't. If you if you go back to episode 4, baby, it's a wrap. I am unemployable. So with that being said, to feel like you get hit and have to stand back up, it's good that and you could tell that it meant something to you, and that's
yeah,
probably why your company and your group is thriving now because of you being, the resilience in it. Because sometimes people get hit, and I be like, "Yeah, young," and I have to tell people this all the time, especially like my mentees. I be
yeah.
like, "This shit ain't for everybody."
It's
Like,
not. It's
she be like,
not.
I just want a 9 to 5," and I said, "And do it because the world needs people to
Yeah.
have 9 to 5s. Like the world needs this to continue to go." So I like to hear what it sounds like from somebody who does have a safety net because everybody wants to say, well, because you have a safety net, you don't go as hard. But that's not always true.
No.
You still do go
Yeah.
as hard.
Yeah, you go even I think, I'm going even harder because I'll compartmentalize. Although a lot of my work looks the same because it's the marketplace is the entire sports ecosystem. So there's not even any overlap because what I do in my 9 to 5 is totally different than what I'm doing on the entrepreneur ship track. But what I would say, and I'm just basing it off of my last two or three clients, right? So my
Uh-huh.
last two or three clients were all in New York City. All right. And these clients range from really big networks
Uh-huh.
to really big, reputable digital media, sports
Okay.
content creators, or sports business content creators. So those were really big clients of mine. And to get that, I had to work double time. So I'm working my 9 to 5, and then I have to be present in New York. So I'm luckily my 9 to 5 was fully remote. So I'm in New York City. I'm in boardroom meetings. I'm
Yeah.
in talent related meetings. I'm in all kind of meetings, and then I'm going to sign, talent. My particular job in this world is to sign talent for network television, and that was for 3 months, and it was a 6 month contract. But for the first 3 months, That was like every single day. Like there was no weekend off. It was a grind every time I could find time. It was grinding. Like if I can't sleep at night, 2 or 3 hours working through some stuff so I could be as more efficient when I wake up or the next day. So that one, I definitely, with the double dutching was definitely happening. The double dutching and juggling at the same time. Like, yeah, it was crazy. But
so let me ask you this. For for if you could say anything to your clients, you know, who treated you like the damn test dummy in here, what is a note that you would tell them?
Hey man, you spin the block if you want to, but she a little different over here now. You know what I'm saying? We eating over here, and the money, the results are hot, and you know you missed that dream when you had it. So
yesterday's price is not today's price.
Catch your next go around, cuz, but the price is high and it ain't going lower.
And we out.
So did you enjoy the gems I dropped today? Or feel normalized after you push play? Well, feel free to like, subscribe, and share that One Time in Business with me, your host, Casey Renee. Now remember, we are all in this crazy shit together.